Did you know Kindle support engineers have resolved issues up to 80% faster using Amazon Q Developer and Amazon CloudWatch? Accelerate your operational investigations now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fifth episode of the AWS Cloud Operations Show. Quite excited to welcome you all. The topic today is all about logs. And well, you all know logs is one of the important signals alongside metrics and traces in the world of observability. And logs are essentially a collection of events, timestamp events that collect detailed information about things that are happening in your system, whether it's our application or infrastructure or whatever the source may be. However, there are a lot of challenges that customers face in analyzing and dealing with logs generally. Typically with volume and getting insights out of it and so on. But to discuss all of that today, I have Andres Silva with me. Andres, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. Happy to be here. My name is Andres Silva. Hi, everybody. I am a specialist solutions architect in the cloud operations team, focusing on observability. I work with Amaya and talk to a lot of our customers about their challenges with observability. And happy to be here and have some fun with logs today.
All right, thank you, Andres. Really appreciate you joining the session today. And we talk to customers all the time, right? Like we talk to customers all the time about various things, and logs is definitely one of those signals that customers always find a lot of use in collecting information because it is verbose, and when you're troubleshooting in particular, you really need information that you can kind of actually dissect into and make sense out of, so you can address the problem, right? However, simply just the fact that the volume of logs, depending on how complex it is and how frequently you're collecting, it can get challenging, right? Like it can get challenging, and it starts with yes, there is a lot of logs, and how do I even query? Like where do I start? How do I know what's in my logs, right?
Mhm.
Like that is even the question number one. And we know that in CloudWatch we make it easy for customers, and maybe we can start from there. We
Mhm.
can we can go through how customers can easily identify to essentially like what is in the logs to begin with, right?
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Maya, because that's one of the biggest pain points, right? Right. Everybody realizes that they need to log. The logs are important. Then you end up with an overwhelming amount of logs, and then it's like, okay, how do I make sense of this? So that's one of the most common challenges that I hear when I talk to customers. So one cool thing that makes it a lot easier right away is a feature that we called Discover Fields. Or automatic field discovery. So what you see in the screen here, and you see how we went straight to the screen because we've gotten feedback that that's what people want to see in the show, right? So
That's right.
yeah. So I'm in the Log Insights console here, and I have a ton of logs, right? Like you can see I have tons of logs here. Now, how do I make sense of that? Discover Fields makes it easy, and I'm going to show you how. I'm going to show you a very simple example with my CloudTrail data. So I'm selecting a log group that contains my CloudTrail data, which is one thing that you could do if you want to send your CloudTrail data straight to CloudWatch. You can configure that very easily. And as soon as I select my log group right there, I can come in here and either click on this little Discover Fields option here, or it will be the same as clicking this button up here with the little light bulb. But I'm going to go ahead and do that. As you can see immediately, just by selecting the log group, CloudWatch has detected all the fields in that log group. So I don't have to do like oh, show me everything and limit to 100 so I can look at the fields. No, it's right there, very easily accessible. And if I wanted to run a query here, I could just say fields and then start selecting some of the fields that I want to see. Okay, I want to see event source. Well, I can just paste it in here. I want to see event time. Maybe I want to see event time before event source, right? I want to see if
Looks like your paste did not work.
No, you're right.
Oh yeah.
Maybe I pasted too fast. Let me see. Thank you. There we go. Event time, event source. And I can just keep adding very easily by doing a copy and paste. Could do event ID, right? And it looks like I have a typo
Yeah, I
here.
may want to remove that. Yeah, that
Yeah, there we go.
additional. Yeah.
All right. So I have, let's say, 3, or let's pick another one. Let's pick one of these down here. User identity ARN, right? Put it there. And now I can very easily, just run my query. And just like that, I had access to all the fields that I needed. I was able to quickly construct a query. And we can scroll down here and see my event time, event source, event ID, user ARN. Very simple. Of course, if I expand that, I can see the entire log message. But it is organized in a way that I can consume it now specifically with the fields that I want to look at. And it was very easy. It's all right there. And in Discover Fields, there's sometimes additional information about some of the fields, like in how many and it says found in one selected log groups, because I only selected one log group for this specific query. Of course, you can select multiple log groups, or you can select prefixes, or you can select to search all the log groups. So the Discover field gives you information with context on what you selected. So it tells me that these are the values most common in the results. These are the least common results in that range. So there's a lot of valuable information in there that can help me when I'm getting started with querying data in Log Insights. Super powerful, and it's something that helps a lot of our customers get started.
Right. So this is quite impressive, and the fact that the field names were automatically identified, and they are presented to me without me going to okay, what do I even query on? I mean, I could be a new member on the team. I could have joined the company recently, or whatever it may be. I may not be familiar with the application, but this gives me a level up, right? I'm already
Exactly.
there. Like I know what are the fields that are available for me to query on. However, there are some situations where I'm getting an echo. I don't know if it's coming from somewhere, but anyway, so there are some situations where I have seen teams use like proper logging frameworks like Log4j or Log4net if you're a .NET developer, and whatever other logging mechanisms that frameworks that exist in other programming languages, and you would define a template. You would sometimes it's JSON, sometimes it's something. Essentially, you're putting a structure to it, right? And you are more organized, and you're kind of standardizing across teams, which is the best practice to do. One of the things that you want to follow to standardize your log structure across teams. If you're using a standard format like OpenTelemetry and all that, that's great. But essentially, the content that you're going to log needs to be standardized. But many times, some older applications, for example, people didn't have an opportunity to do so, right? When I was, much younger, when I was starting my career as a developer, I would just do console.write, and I would just like whatever the message was, I would just move on. And because I didn't know better, right? That was one of those things. And that can be complex when those kind of logs end up in CloudWatch. That can be complex, and there is probably going to be more challenges in discovering fields, right? What are the mechanisms that CloudWatch offers to make that problem go away? Like I don't have the ability right now to go make changes to that application because it's an old application, just probably written by me 20 years ago. I don't even know what the source code is, or maybe it's a commercial application that is spitting out logs, right?
Right.
In which I obviously don't have control over.
like how, but I want those logs to be in CloudWatch. I want to leverage this feature that you just showed. How do I do
Yeah. Yeah, that was a very nice way of saying, yeah, that's all fine and dandy, but what if my data is not neatly organized, right? That's true.
Exactly.
And it happens. We run into a lot of customers, like you said, they have legacy systems and inconsistent log formats. So at reInvent, the last reInvent, the most recent one, we released log transformation. I would love to show you real quick what that is. So it's log transformation and enrichment, and it's precisely to tackle this challenge, um, of addressing, these uncommon or non-standard formats of logs. So let me show you an example here with a log that we created for a demo. Is essentially an Apache weblog, right? So an Apache weblog, they don't have, I mean, they do have a standard format in the sense that they follow a standard pattern, but they're not JSON or anything like that. It's just a line, right? So how do you take that and convert it into something where you can leverage discover fields and you can leverage all those things, right? So let me go. The way it works is that I went into my log groups and I found my access log, which is the name I gave to this log group. And in here, I am going to, in the options at the top, go to transformer. And as you can see, I already have a transformer here. And the reason I have it already is because I wanted to show you how it works, but it's very simple we're going to go through the process as if I was creating it. So when you go and create your transformer, the first thing you need to define is a parser. The parser is it's going to take the data and put it in the format that you want to put it. After that, you can chain processors to it, which can enrich the data, right? Or further transform it if that's necessary. So when we choose a parser here, we have a number of options here. As you can see, I have Grok selected. Grok is an open source standard for parsing data. But there's also an option to do JSON, CSV, key value, and very cool, we have a number of parsers that are already pre-built for things like Postgres, WAF, which is Web Application Firewall, for CloudFront, for Route 53. So all those logs are not in in a standard format. So you can actually take them and the system will do the parsing for you automatically. In this case, we don't have a pre-built Apache one. So what we're going to do is we're going to configure Grok. And Grok, what it allows me to do is allows me to specify, okay, what is the field that you want me to parse? And in this case, we're going to parse the entire message field. And down here, we are providing the match using the expected pattern that Grok uses. In this case, the good news is that Grok has a pre-built Apache access log pattern, so that we can just leverage that. So we use this format here, and we say grab everything and parse it based on the pattern of Apache weblogs. So that's going to be our first pass. So we're going to take that and that's going to convert it into a nice JSON format for us. Then what we said, well, let's take it another step and do a processor on it. We already transformed the data. Now let's enrich it, right? So we're going to enrich it. And there's a few options that we have for that. And enriching the data is in those instances where you have log data coming in and maybe you want to add some sort of information to it, right? It could be that you want to rename a specific key or that you want to move a key, as you can see, or you want to delete a key in the JSON data. There's other options here that you can use, like lowercase, uppercase, split. In this case, we're going to do a copy value, as you can see. And copy value, the way it works is actually pretty cool because it can take values of certain variables, in this case, like account ID, region name, log group name, and I can copy that to a new field in the log entry. So in this case, I'm saying, okay, I want to copy the region name and I want to copy to a new key called region. Okay. And I have the option of overriding if it exists, but that's the way it works. So now we transform the log from standard web access log in Apache, and now we've added a new key to it, which is region. Let's see how it works. The nice thing is that when you're building your transformers here, on the right-hand side, you can actually load a sample log. As you can see, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. This is what it's coming in the logs, right? It's a standard web log. There's no format associated with it. So what I'm going to do after I load my sample log, I can click here in test transformer, and it's going to apply those two transformers to that sample log data. And that allows you to see if you're getting the results that you want.
Yeah,
So you can
that's basically what I would want to do before I roll
Right.
something out widely,
Exactly.
right? Like, whether this works or not, because there's going to be a lot of trial and error, I suppose.
Exactly. So
Right.
as you can see, we have our nice JSON formatted transform log, right? With all the data organized in the right way.
And there you go. The region is there.
And the region is there. Exactly.
Okay.
That's what I
And the
wanted to point out.
region, so those fields that you showed when you enriched, those fields actually came from, those are AWS
Dynamic
um,
fields. Mhm.
dynamic fields, right? Like those
Correct.
are like account IDs, log streams, and all that. Okay, which is great.
Exactly.
Which
Yeah. So
which
we
kind of
can
helps me to group, things together, get the context better. Okay.
exactly. So and we use region here, but there may be a use case where you want to use, for example, log group name, right? Or account ID, because you're there's a lot of accounts that that data is coming from. You know, there's a lot of options here.
What
Anyway,
other options exist in addition to copy value? Can you click on that
so
drop
today
down?
we support oh, in addition to copy value,
Yeah, in the
we
processors. Yeah, they're there.
yeah, we can do
I can
oops.
even do add key.
Yes, you can do add
Okay.
key. Let me see. All right, there we go. You can do add key, delete key, rename key, move key, type converter, right? So you can convert like a string into an integer, and list to map, and datetime converter.
That's nice.
Yeah, yeah,
Datetime converter is something I think that's going to be like really useful, right? Like if you want to standardize on dates.
exactly,
Yeah.
super powerful. So now that we've designed our transformer, we can go out of here and let's take a look at how this log looks here in Log Insights, right? I'm just going to run a quick query on it. All right, and oops, and if I expand one of these, now you'll see that I not only have my entire message, which it stays there, right? We're not going to do anything with it. But now we have agent, HTTP method, log data. We have all those fields separated, neatly organized, including my region one here that I can also. And the advantage of this is, and we're going to talk about some of these things later on, is that once you have your log data in this format, now you can take advantage of a lot of other features within CloudWatch to gain, powerful analytics, improve performance, optimize cost. So that's why log transformation and enrichment is so key and so important.
Fantastic. We have a question from Alexander. Alexander, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate you joining our show today, and you've been a regular audience. Really appreciate it. So the question is there a way to merge properties? And I'm guessing, like with the transformation, you showed me the fact that you can actually have multiple processors. So
Right, exactly.
you can
So
have
if
the good. Yeah, sorry, good.
yeah, so is the question that if you can take two and convert it into one? What was the question again? Can you read
Yeah,
that?
is there a way? The question is if there is a way to merge properties.
To merge properties. Well, yeah, you can use copy value twice, right? That's one way you could probably do it.
Right.
And or I would have to explore a couple of options here.
I guess the
There,
move key, for example, one
that's what I
location
was
to
thinking.
another. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. You can move
that
to
would
one
be it.
location to another location. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the good thing is that there's a good number of different processors that sometimes you can combine with one another and chain together to obtain the result that you want. So I'm pretty confident you can do that with either move key or by just using a copy value.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you, Andres. Yeah, basically, yeah, it is possible because it is there's multiple processes that you can add to the same transformation. You should be able to kind of edit existing ones, combine, and add additional value if you want to.
Right.
All right. So sounds good. So now so we started with, okay, so there is unstructured logs that I get in whatever format. Here, transformation allows me to kind of transform to a structure that I want, right? Now the
Exactly.
logs are there, and the logs are in CloudWatch now, right? Like, but I have to still query them, and I may not be an expert in like querying the data, I like I said, I might have a different background where I don't know how to use how to use CloudWatch logs insights, for example, to query the most optimal way, right?
Right.
Like how can a new user or even an existing user like get their work done faster?
Exactly. And actually, before we go there, I forgot to mention something in Maya about log transformation. Is that some customers ask, well, what happened with my original data? Does it get overwritten? No, we keep both in there. So you're not losing your data. We're not overwriting it or anything like that. You have both copies with the same retention policy, and the transformation happens at ingestion. And it's important to know that because you're not going to be able to transform data that has already been ingested. It's going to start transforming when you turn it on. So that's something that I wanted to call out. Now, very good question. And Amaya, we get a lot of customers ask, well, I'm not too familiar with the query language. How can I get started? And this is one feature that I love because I don't consider myself an expert on the Log Insights query language, but I don't need to be. That's great. Because we have this natural language, NLP, natural language processing query feature, in which I can just type here in the query generator what I want, right? So for example, I'm going to go back to my CloudTrail data because it's an easy one. And I have plenty of data on this account for that. And I want to say, instead of me trying to figure out, hey, filter, blah, 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 slice, all the functions, I can say, for my CloudTrail data, show me all the top, or not the top, no, I'm going to say the number of times each API is called and sort by the number of API calls. Wow, that's some serious querying skills there, right? I'm just going to say generate query. So look at how this is going to change here in a minute as generating the query.
Maybe you can just let the discovered fields go away so there's more realistic.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yep. Okay, boom. So there's my query. Stats count as hits, by event name, as API, sort by hits, descending. So let's run it and see what happens. So now I have a query here that, apologies, immediately shows me all the top API calls in my CloudTrail. Notice how the NLP is aware of the content of the log data, in this case, CloudTrail. It knows what I'm looking for. It knows where to find the API calls. So that is super powerful. And it not only works with CloudTrail, of course, it works with your application logs. It works with any log that has been ingested in CloudWatch, because it takes advantage of a couple of things. One of them being the analytics it has on the discover fields already. So it knows the fields that are in there. If your data is structured, right? If it's not structured, now we know we're going to use transformation, right? And then it can peek at the data to figure out what you're looking for, and then give you the correct query. So anyone can write a query now with generate query feature, and
including us.
including me. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So this is quite impressive. I was gonna ask you how it knows that, like, what fields exist, but yeah, that's CloudWatch, is aware of the context, right?
Exactly.
And because it is aware of like where you're writing the query, and it knows what the fields exist, and it is able to understand what you're asking, and it deciphers that and builds into that query. Okay.
Exactly.
Which is impressive. And what I also really, really like is that it said how long it took for the query to execute. Like at the bottom in the query results, it scanned in 1.5 seconds, and
Yep.
It probably that's how long. I think it felt like it was even shorter. It was instant. The
Yeah.
results came right away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So which is cool, and but at the same time, that's not the case all the time, right? Like
Right.
there are situations where I have personally seen it took longer than I thought.
Yeah.
It should have responded, and certainly when customers use or run a query for a longer time frame, and if the data set is quite large, then obviously it has to scan a lot of data, and it is going to take a while, right? And what are the ways customers can optimize that? Like, what are the ways CloudWatch offers to reduce the time, improve performance, and get their results faster for customers?
Right. No, that's good. That's a good point. And this is a very important issue for our customers. And not only because they want their data faster, right? And you have vast amount of data to scan, but also because they want to optimize the cost, right, of their queries. So a relatively new feature that's also been very popular with customers is field indexing, right? And what it allows me to do is define an index so that my data is ready to be scanned for specific use cases where I'm searching or I'm filtering by that specific index. The way it works is that you can configure index fields either at the account level, or you can specify them at the log group level also. And in this case, let me go here and look for my CloudTrail data. I'm going to show you that here in the log group configuration in field indexes, I have already configured a number of index fields: event time, event name, AWS region, all that, right? The way you do that is you click here and you can add them or remove them, right? And it's very simple. You just give it the field name and it'll start indexing it immediately. Now, keep in mind that it's going to start indexing from the time that you configure it, right? That's also important. But then what happens is that if I go now here to my CloudTrail data, and this is something that was there, but we didn't call it out before. Now here in Discover Fields, I can point you out to this specific column here that says Log Group Index. And if I sort by it, I can see my index fields here. You see? It tells me how long it has been indexed, the last event time, the last scan time, account ID, and so on and so forth. So now very easily I can see my Discover fields, which fields I can use to take advantage of that. So if I do a quick query without indexing fields, let's do a 1 day, okay, and run it. Okay, we're querying all the data from CloudTrail. This is going to take a few seconds, right? Not a lot. It's going to 7, 8 seconds, and it has scanned okay, 1.3 gigs in 14 seconds, right? So let's do something a little bit different now. Let's go ahead and go to Discover Fields, and we're going to say fields. And we're going to take the ones that are indexed just for fun, right? But we're going to filter on one of them. Let's do region. Let's do event name. And let's do event source. And you'll see the difference in event time. I always put event time in the wrong place. Well, let's put it here. Just because it keep things organized. And let's do this guy right here. Okay. Now what we're going to do is, oh, by the way, whenever you put anything that has a dot in CloudTrail, you have to put the tick marks on it so that it doesn't give you an error. All right. So we're going to add a filter here, and we're going to do event source, for example. Okay. And the nice thing, I don't know if you notice, when I'm typing, it automatically brings up the discover fields, which makes it even easier. I should have pointed that out.
IntelliSense, right?
IntelliSense. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So I'm going to open one of these, and let's pick an event source. Let's pick like Elasticache, right? I didn't even know that I had an Elasticache running on this account. Let me pick something more common, right? Let's do, I have so much stuff running here, I guess. Okay, logs. That's a good one, right?
Yeah, the event source, of course.
Yeah. All right. So equals, let's do logs.amazon.com, right? All right. Now take a look at, remember how long it took to scan one day. Now we're filtering for that index field. And let's run this query again and see if we notice anything different here. Okay, let's run it. This is where I get nervous because boom, oh my goodness, that was so much faster, right?
That's quick.
Yeah. Couple of things. It says here, powered by field indexes, which tells you right away, hey, I was able to take advantage of the index in this query. That's nice, right? The other thing is that, I don't know if you noticed, but it scanned less data because there's an index on it and it knows where to look faster. So it doesn't have to scan the entire amount of data that it scanned before. And it is a lot faster in 4.2 seconds. So that is a very easy and powerful way of improving performance of your queries, optimizing cost, and it's a very cool feature that you can just start using. It doesn't cost anything. It just, it's a very easy way of improving the performance of your queries. So
this felt like instant. Yeah, this felt like instant. It just came right away, right?
Right away, exactly.
Yeah, perfect. We have one question about costs. Girish is asking, is there an extra cost for log transformer?
No.
So no, right? The answer is no. It's included in the standard log ingestion, Girish.
Yep. So there's no excuse for not using it. Come on.
That's right. I mean, if you need it, if you don't need it, then
if you don't need it, exactly. Well,
yeah.
Here's the thing about transformation is that you may not necessarily need it to transform data, but it may be useful to, like the question that we had before, merge a couple of fields or enrich it with some additional data. There's a lot of cool things you can do there.
Right. Yeah. And Alexander has this question. I'm not entirely sure what the details are. Alexander, like you can ping me on LinkedIn on messages, and I'm happy to discuss with you on this. Get to the details, but I just don't understand the specifics.
I think he means that there's a product ID there, and he wants to generalize it. So he doesn't want the product ID. He wants to like. And you can do that with Grok. Yeah, I would look at Grok, and Grok will allow you to do that. If I understand your question correctly, but if not, ping us. Yeah, we'll reach out to us and we'll help you. Yeah.
Oh, looks like that was the question. So that's
okay.
Great.
Perfect.
He said yes. He said yes. That's
right.
Throws yes on the screen.
Awesome.
Yeah, perfect. All right. That's great. That's great. And this is great. So now, we started with a lot of logs coming in and not being able to identify fields. And now we showed how you can extract or in other words, like transform like not so structured logs into structured logs the way that you want, and how you can query that and all that. But at the same time, logs, whether we definitely don't like it, I don't want to say whether we like it or not, we shouldn't be sending private information that is secure information and all that into logs, which really should be caught upstream. There should be enough mechanisms put in place. But however, there are chances that things could happen and that could kind of get breached, and private information might end up in logs. And sometimes you actually intentionally want to, because something is required, right? There are many use cases like that. And what are the a lot of customers have such use cases, right? Because security is important and protecting identity is important. How can CloudWatch customers kind of not be in a risky situation or where private information is up in logs, and how they can prevent themselves from putting themselves into trouble?
Definitely. Yeah, so that's also a very common ask and a lot of conversations that we have around that. And CloudWatch provides a feature called data protection. And I'll show you real quick how do you configure it and how do you use it. And then it's giving me a warning here that we have sensitive data detected. It's because I have set up that demo already, right? So
which is great, right? Like
yeah.
which it warns me, hey, like you may want to take a look at this.
Exactly.
There could be something going on here.
Exactly. So I'm going to look for this this log that I have here that contains of course fake sensitive data. I mean, don't think that we put real data here. So I have a few streams here, and I'm going to show you. I can just click here within the log group. I can click on View in Log Insights, and I'm going to do that so I can show you. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back here. I wanted to show you the actual logs first. Okay, sensitive data. So I want to show you how you configure it, right? So in the log group, you define data protection, right? And there's you can either set data protection in at the log level, at the log group level, or at the account level, which makes sense, right? You don't want to set it up at the just at the log, because sometimes logs are going to be created and you don't know if there's going to be sensitive data there. So this is a better approach is to do it account wide, right? But in this case, for demo purposes, I just did it only on this specific log group, which is another option. So as you can see here, we have what you have to do is create a policy to detect the sensitive data. And I'm going to go here and edit the policy and show you. It's very simple to do. We have a number of predefined data identifiers. You can look at all of them in our documentation, and they contain some of the most common things like phone number, social security number, address, email address. So you can choose from any of those, right? They're not only supported in English, they're also supported in other languages. There's a full list, like I said, in our documentation. But as you can see, the way a bank account number typically appears in France is not going to be the same as in Italy, I guess, right? So we have a number of options for that you can enable. This is just to give you an idea, driver's license, all these predefined data identifiers that we provide. But in addition to that, we can create our own custom data identifiers, and it's very simple. It uses a combination of regex with the definition of the field. So if you know that in your log there's going to be a field called condition, condition in terms of health condition, right? And you can just put a regex that looks for words after that, or a number of words after that, and you just build a custom data identifier there. You can also have the option of logging those to a specific log group, so that you know you have a way of tracking when they were found. So that is a very useful feature. You can also send those to either Firehose, Data Firehose, or Amazon S3. But once you configure it, you can also see the policy instead of looking at it in the console format. You can see the policy in JSON format right here. Okay, so this is essentially what we wrote there. Okay, so we have our policy, and these are the logs that they're being applied to. So let's take a peek at one of these logs. Let me see if we can find some interesting data. Okay, there's a lot of data in this log. Some of them is sensitive, some of them is not. But as you can see right here, email address, and it has been protected, right? So you can't see it anymore. Phone has been protected, right? So the same thing if we go to Log Insights. Let's go to Log Insights real quick, and select the sensitive data. Okay, and I'm just going to run a simple pull all query here. Actually, let's do something more interesting. I'm going to go into the query generators and show me all
Of course, right?
Of course, right? Why not? With string SSN, right? So social security number. I know I created, and by the way, the way I generate all this data in the logs is I just wrote a Lambda function that randomly populates the data. There you go. So I have my query there. I'm going to run it, and now I make sure I only get those that have the social security number on them. So I'm going to go look through those. Let me look through it. There we go. So as you can see, I have here SSN. As you can see, is blocked out.
Masked.
And
Yeah.
super simple, right? And a very powerful way to protect data in logs.
Right, but this is cool. I mean, this is obviously like how I started this conversation. It's really important, right? Like this is something that that could save people's jobs.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
but I have a question though. So
Yeah.
has CloudWatch overwritten my social security number? Like, what if there was this a use case where I had to like actually see what the social security number was, right?
Right. That's a good question, right? So no, it has not overwritten or deleted or scratched your social security number, but it's basically protected it via the policy. Now there is a way for you to see it if it's needed, and it's assigned via permissions by using a special keyword called unmask. It just happens that I have access in my IAM permissions to run unmask, so I can just type unmask here and around the message, and we'll run the query again with the unmask feature. And now we'll go take a look at this data and see what we have. As you can see, the social security is there. Don't try to write it down, it's not valid. But as you can see, there is a way of that data is there. We're just masking it, and the default is not to show that data once it has a data protection policy. If you have the permissions to do unmask, then you can see it like I just did there.
Got it. Awesome. So Alexander says this. So I guess as a host, I do have the pulse of the audience. So I did ask the question.
Oh, good. Excellent. That's excellent. Yeah. Very good.
Right. That is great. Yeah. So far, everything that you showed me is about the data that already exists. And as an operator, I would, just go do analysis, right? Like, let's say all this was like analysis purposes.
Right.
Analyzing data. I can tell you when I was, I mean, don't get me wrong, I still write code. I'm not a bad developer at all. But the way I come across it, people might think that, wow, he wrote some awful code. It's not.
You're just vocally self-critical. That's fine,
Yeah, exactly, right. But I have to admit, I probably the Q developer writes better code than me. For sure.
Oh yeah.
So so where I was going with this is like when I was early on in my career, I used to like find it very challenging. And back in the day, it was more of like web development, monolithic applications, and I used to ship something to the testing team, and then the QA team would come back and say, it doesn't work, man. I'm like, yeah, it works on my laptop, works on my computer. And then I could just debug and everything is fine, but I go there and then like there's nothing there. Okay,
Right.
so it's because the build is in release mode and there's nothing getting logged. Okay,
Yeah.
then I had to like put more console outs or like uncommon stuff, common stuff, and all that, and go to production, and then like go to the wherever it is logging. I wouldn't know where it's logging and all that stuff. But anyway, so there are situations where developers like are. It could really be useful for developers to actually go look at what is happening in production, right? Like there are some logs coming in. It would really be helpful if I could actually saw what happened, so I could go fix immediately than me having to take a version of that production build, right? Now set it all up in my dev environment and then run it locally and test it. Instead of that, I could benefit that. How could CloudWatch help with that use case?
Yeah, so I think that's a good point, right? Because when you're troubleshooting, you don't always have the option to like wait for the data to be ingested, for everything to happen. You want to see what's happening real time, right? So
Yeah.
Livetail is a feature that it's quite powerful for that. Let me show you how. There's a couple of ways of accessing it, right? And I can just go to Livetail here. And as it sounds, what is Livetail? Livetail is essentially, if you come from the Linux command line world, you know that the tail command is very popular, and you can see what's happening on a log, and it scrolls as it's happening. So it gives you live action debug, of what's going on, and you can see the errors coming. So this is what Livetail is, but with a few twists that make it even more powerful. Like for example, the fact that you can filter, and you can have multiple filters, and I'll show you how that works in a moment here. Let's select a log group first, and I think I have actually. Let me go this way. I'll show you another way where you can get it, because I need to use my powers of remembering. Yeah, there we go. Log sensitive, generate sensitive data. Yeah, we can use let's use this one right here, okay? Which is the same one that we were looking at. So we're gonna start tailing, all right? And we'll just give it a second for it to set up. And once it runs all the right things, it's gonna start showing us all the data. If these if there's activity, hopefully there's activity in this on this log. And otherwise, we're
So
gonna have to.
when you say activity, what you're saying is the application is actively sending events to the log
Exactly,
group, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
But
Right.
what we're gonna do is we're gonna create some redundancy here, and we're gonna go to another log that I have just in case.
Right.
Just in
That
case.
always helps.
Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna go to oops. Oh, no wonder, because I can't see it. There we go. So we're gonna go to this one too, just in case, and we're gonna start tailing this one too. See which one wins. Ah, there we go. This one won.
You got the first one work.
All right. So we have some data coming in. As you can see, it's scrolling. This is actually what's happening right now in the log, and I can examine the data. If I can just click on this, and it will show me. This
That's
is
an event.
the event, exactly.
Right.
What's happening right now. I can also expand it here and see the actual message, right? So here, I find, let's say that let me see something more interesting, like this one. I want to look for one that I can filter. Let's filter, you know what? Let's just say -info. And guess what that's going to do, right? That's going to filter out any message that's labeled as info. So I'm going to go ahead and apply that filter, and it's going to rerun the filter, and it's going to start filtering those messages as they come out. And then we're going to do a little bit of Uh-huh.
that filter got applied to the new events that are coming in after you applied that filter.
Correct, exactly, because I'm tailing the log, right?
Right.
Exactly. So it takes a few seconds for it to get started, but I'm going to move to the other one here so I can show you a few other features. We can select a specific stream if we want to tail. We can type a prefix also here, and this is the filter that I already show you. The other cool thing is, let's do this. This should be pretty cool. If we do this and we say highlight HTTP, right? You see how it automatically, and probably that was not, this is a web blog, so every entry is going to have HTTP. I might want to pick something different. Maybe we'll do
Maybe look at the URL, like maybe the history.html, I think, right? That's probably not all of them are going to history.html.
history.html. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's try that.
Maybe that's what I'm interested in. Like, I want to see
Right,
like how many
exactly.
requests are
There
coming
we
there.
go.
Yeah,
That was
there
a
you go.
good example. See, immediately I can go, okay, this is where the data that I'm looking for is. I can quickly, zero in into specifically what I'm looking for. You can have
Okay, in
multiple.
history.html, I
Mhm.
want to find those that are from like, a particular Chrome version or Safari version or something, right? Like, or maybe something from
Ah,
only from Mac OS or, or something that is specific to, I mean, essentially as a developer, maybe I'm trying to find, okay, so there are, because specific set of some users are complaining that something is going on, but I need to find who those some users are, right?
right.
Is there a commonality there, right?
Yeah,
That I
so
can look.
we have two now, right? One is red, one is purple, and you see that we have a couple of matches here. Of course, the ones that are only red are only the ones for the history HTML, but now it's very easy for me to find the ones that have both criteria, right? Like the specific web browser and also the history.html. So super simple to set that up. Yeah. So
Which is great.
yeah,
Yeah, which is
awesome.
great. So I mean, essentially, we're getting into, okay, so we're getting into patterns here, because as a developer, that's basically what I want, right? Like, I want to understand patterns. Like, how does CloudWatch help me, like,
Exactly.
identify patterns, like, of existing logs? Is it,
Yeah.
how would I do that?
Patterns of existing logs, that's great, right? And one of the most powerful ways of um, detecting a problem when you don't know exactly what's happening, a very easy way is to see if there is something, if there's some commonality, if there is a recurring event, right? So if I am searching for a specific, I'm querying a specific log, right? Like this one right here. And I'm gonna run maybe I'll do a little bit longer. I'm not sure how long did I select there. I think I did 1 hour. Let's do a little bit more and I'll show you why in a moment, right? But basically, this feature called pattern, what it allows us to do is define a time range, like 12 hours, right? Like I did here. And then within that time range, show me any recurring patterns of messages that you see. And if I click here in the pattern tab, I will be shown all the different patterns in that period that repeat themselves, right? Anything you see in blue is things that change, but the majority of the message you can see stays the same.
The
And I get,
structure, right? Yeah.
right.
Hmm.
And I get some interesting statistics here, like, the percentage of 22% of the messages for that time range is this. Now,
Number of events too, right? Like,
number of events.
specific numbers. Yeah.
Exactly. So think about it. When you're troubleshooting a problem, an operational issue, typically you're gonna see this is gonna make it jump to the top immediately what the problem is, right? Because there's gonna
Right.
be like a whole bunch of events of those, and you can find them
Right.
very, very, very quickly.
Right. So when we talk about patterns, immediately, okay, that means there has to be some anomalous behavior that should emerge from the patterns, right? Like, that's
Right.
what we are looking into.
Exactly.
How would, as a user, how would I find what is anomalous?
Well, the anomaly detection is a feature that you can turn on your log groups. It's a very powerful way of determining if something is, out of the ordinary. Or you can use the compare feature also, which I didn't have a chance to show you, but let me go real quick. And I know we're running out of time, so I'm going to make this very quickly. But we ran that, right? And we got our patterns. And what compares allows me to do is it allows me to compare the results of this specific query with the results of another period. It could be like the previous period, it could be another date and time. I get to select right here, previous period, previous month, previous week, and that allows me to establish some differences. Is my application behaving the same way today as it was behaving yesterday, right? Kind of thing.
Right. So within those two periods, like a window that you can create, like to
Exactly.
create a query for a window and then slide that window to another time, and then essentially compare the results of the same query with the same period. I mean, with a different time, obviously, and then
Exactly.
compare is there any pattern emerging from this?
Exactly. That's the idea. And the
Right.
other option that you have is you can actually configure anomaly. We don't have any configure here, but you can create it by selecting a log group, right? And then evaluation frequency, how frequently you want to evaluate that log group to define the baseline for the pattern. You can filter some information out, and essentially, we're going to have once we turn it on, we're going to have a mechanism, and I don't have it turned on this account, to automatically detect any variation. So the system basically creates a baseline of what normal looks like, and anytime it detects a difference, the cool thing about it is that you can trigger an alert, you can trigger an alarm. You get the ability to detect and react to some anomaly in your logs, which is a very powerful option.
Got it. Thank you. So what about those customers that need advanced analytical capabilities, right? So we know that customers are able to use. I mean, there are a lot of customers who use OpenSearch, for example, for a lot of analysis purposes, because it offers very rich analytic capabilities. What about those customers that want to leverage that? Like they really like that, but at the same time, the logs are in CloudWatch. They like CloudWatch. Just all these features that you just demonstrated. How can they make use of that as well?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's interesting, Amaya, that sometimes people come into the console and don't notice that we have a couple of new options here, right? So those two options of OpenSearch and PPL and OpenSearch SQL are part of a release that we did of what we call OpenSearch Zero ETL integration with CloudWatch.
We should make those blink. You said people don't notice it. We should make that blink.
Yeah, exactly, with shining lights, right? Exactly.
Right.
So if I click here and I go to PPL, now I have access to the full and powerful language of PPL in OpenSearch. And if you remember, we did a query at the beginning of the show for top APIs, right? And it just happens that I have the syntax of that query in PPL here. So this is the equivalent. So I'm just going to run it. And now I can take advantage of all those, all that functionality by using the PPL language, right? And it's advantageous because some customers are more familiar with this language. There's also more functions available in that language that are not available.
Out of the box functions.
Exactly,
right?
out of the box functions. And you can also use SQL.
But just before you go there, like PPL stands for Piped Processing Language.
Correct.
Right? So it is just another structured query language that offers another way to query data.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah, and as being piped, you get a result and the pipe sends it to the next function, and then you send it to the next function, which is a very powerful.
Which is why it's called Piped Processing
Exactly.
Language. It's just process in a pipeline. Okay.
Exactly. And then we have SQL, right? And with SQL, everybody knows SQL, right? So it may be that you already have a good amount of SQL queries that you have built, and you just want to reuse them, or you can use SQL. And the only the only thing with when using the SQL language is that you have to type everything. So including the name of the log group, which we made it a little bit easier by giving you this option to search for them, and then it will insert it into the editor. So it inserted it there, but it's the same query. We just ran the same query in 3 different languages. We get the results. We take advantage of the additional powerful analytics of the, in the case of SQL, the power is in the ability to manipulate the data in very powerful ways, like querying and then querying again. You know, it's a lot of customers like the power of SQL for that. But we just wanted to give customers more flexibility on that. Another option with the OpenSearch integration is the ability to have these dashboards, which I don't have one configured here, but good enough. We have some demos here, but you can configure this native OpenSearch dashboard for some of your data like VPC flow logs, CloudTrail logs, and WAF logs, and then you can interact with them through this console. So that's the 2 parts of the integration, give you more powerful analytics with that integration.
Looks like we actually need another hour or two to go
I
through
know
all of this.
there was so much stuff
Right,
to cover.
right, yeah, we have 2 minutes over already. However, you know, this is mind blowing. All the different capabilities that that CloudWatch Logs offers to deal with the higher volume of data and the speed at these log events come in, and the variety of requirements that customers have is quite impressive. And you know, as always, audience, thank you for watching. And you can always reach out to your account teams to connect with us if you have any specific questions that you want to dive deep into. And really appreciate you all joining. And our next episode is actually on 4/24 as per the schedule, April 24th. However, that episode, we're going to skip that, and we're going to do one in advance. So we're not going to skip and go away. So we're going to do one in advance. It's going to be next week, actually, next Thursday. Next Thursday, 4/17, April 17th, 2 p.m. Eastern, with a very, very special guest. It's going to be very surprising, and Andres will be there on the show. I'm not going to leave that as a surprise. But the other,
I'm not the surprise. Yeah, I'm not the surprise.
Andres is not the surprise. But we're going to talk to a very, very special guest, and it's going to be a special episode. Please tune in. You can, follow our LinkedIn and Blue Sky and those kind of places, and we'll certainly post and make it noisy so you all can join us. But thank you so much. I really appreciate you all joining. See you all later. Thank you.